Do you have a great idea for a story and you dream of turning that idea into a book? But do you struggle with where to start? For beginning writers, the lack of a great outline can lead to lack of direction, plot holes, disorganized ideas, and frustration. In today's video, I'm going to discuss how to take your brilliant idea, turn it into an outline, and give structure so you can start writing the next best-selling novel. There are varied opinions about outlining. Now, if you are a pantser, that's great, but stay tuned because even a pantser can benefit from a simple outline to help give direction. You can make your outline as basic and simple or as complex as you want, whatever works for you. Think of an outline as a roadmap. And imagine the last time you went on a road trip. You have the map, you have your destination plotted in, and you know what road to take, you know how to get where you need and want to go. But you set out on your road trip and you realize, oh, look at that sign. I want to go take a detour. I want to go see the sights. And so you veer off the plotted path to get to your destination, and you take the detour and you see the sights. And then when you're done, you veer back because you know where the road is. You veer back to the road that's going to get you to your destination. The outline is very similar to that because it gives you where you're going, but as you're writing, it still gives you the freedom to be spontaneous and to be creative and to pursue that spontaneity. And then you know how to get back to where you want to go. Be sure to stick around to the end, and I'm going to share with you my favorite way to outline a novel. The first thing that you need to do is write down all of your ideas. No matter how crazy or wild they are, write them down. You can brainstorm this, but get them all down on paper. I do encourage writers to have a notebook that possibly they carry with them, because creativity and ideas can strike at any time. And anytime you get ideas for a story, write it down, keep track of all of those ideas. If you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe and hit that bell notification so you don't miss any future videos. The next thing you need to do is ask yourself some questions. Who, what, when, where, and why. Now, when I was a journalism student, we were taught that those things plus how needed to be in the beginning of every story, because that is the basic crux of the information that we had to encapsulate for our articles. And you can apply this to writing a book as well. The first question is who? Who is the story about? Who's the protagonist? Who's the antagonist? Who is the hero? And who's the villain? And who are your sub-characters? Now, you can spend as much time as you want on this, but I recommend you spend enough time to really get to know your characters. What are their names? Where do they come from? What do they like? What do they dislike? What are their fears? What are their internal conflict? I have created a video about this. I will put the link to that in the description. But I encourage you to spend time on this. Now, when I was a theater student in college, in my acting classes, we would get a part and we had to write a character sketch for the role that we were going to play. And I really, with some of the character sketches that some of my acting buddies would write would be really in depth. And I want to encourage you because I really like doing that same exercise with the characters in the books that I write, because it really gives you information that you can use when you get to actually writing the book. The next question is what? What is the story about? What is the main points of the story? What's the purpose of your story? What are the hidden meanings that maybe you want to have in your story? What is the symbolism that you want to have in the story? What? What is a great question to answer before you start writing your outline? The next question is where? Where is your story going to take place? And this is where you can spend some time world building. I have made a video about world building as well, and I will put the link for that in the descriptions. But spend some time just being creative and brainstorming. Where is your story happening? Is it a fictitious fantasy land? Is it a reality that, maybe there's a city, you can go to that city and walk the streets and gather information? You want to do your research on the location at this point, find out as much as you can, or brainstorm and create this fantasy world that your story is going to take place in. The next question is when? When does your story take place? Is it taking place in right now, modern times? Is it historical? Is it happening in previous times? Is it futuristic? Really, in order to create a really good outline, you need to know the time frame and when your story is taking place. The next question is why? Why is this happening? If you can come up with any why, an answer to why, that can help you when you go to create your outline. Spend some time brainstorming all of these questions. Brainstorm, write it all down, be creative in answering these questions and gathering all of this information. Once you have answered all of these questions and you've gathered all the information that you need, then it's time to think about what kind of outline will work for you. Now, there's a lot of opinions about outlining, just as there is with writing. But I will just say that outlines are just as individual as you. The concept that one outline is going to fit for everybody is just crazy because everybody's different. Just as creative and unique as each individual is, you have to find the outline format that works for you and your creativity. Some of the different types of outlines out there are a mind map, bullet points, index cards, sticky notes, software. You can create it in a software and keep it all organized and structured. But just remember that outlines are just as unique as you. While you're doing all of this, keep in mind the basic structure of a story. There's the basic 3-act structure or whatever is going to work for your novel. Keep that in mind as you start placing this information into your outline. Some of the key components that you want to have in a novel outline are things such as the introduction, the inciting incident, the rising action, the climax, the resolution. These are all things that you want to make sure you have, and this also goes into studying the 3-act structure, which will give you even more to make sure you have in your outline. Don't forget subplots, themes, and symbolism. Now, I have made a video about using symbolism in your writing, and I will put a link to that in the description. But those things are going to give depth to your novel that wouldn't be there otherwise. Sometimes these things are organic and they just happen as you're writing the story. But if you spend a little bit of time and think about those 3 things, subplots, themes, and symbolism, because you can plan ahead and you can think, okay, I want to use certain things. I want this to, and you can weave it into your story by planning ahead for those things. Okay, I told you that I would tell you my favorite way to outline, and here it is. So what I do is I do the brainstorming. I answer the questions, who, what, where, when, and why, and I answer all those questions, and I brainstorm the world building, and I get my character sketches all done, and I gather all my research, and I do all of this stuff. And then I take that information and I create a very simple bullet point outline, chapter to chapter, kind of giving me a loose structure. And I usually do that in Word, and I create a document that's got all my stuff. And then I create the very loose outline with bullet points. And then this is where the magic happens, is then I take sticky notes And I write each chapter heading, who's in it, and a very brief thing. And I take those sticky notes and I stick them all over my wall. And what that does is it gives me the visual, because I'm very visual. And so I can look at all the chapters and the different characters, and I can visually see where I'm going. And as I start writing, I can very easily move a chapter or move a character, and I can put them somewhere else, and I can rearrange the sticky notes. And so that's what I do. That's my favorite way to outline a novel. Drives my husband crazy because there's sticky notes everywhere, but it really works for me because it's so visual and colorful. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.